Greetings, greetings, greetings to Global Empire Ark, Almighty Rastafari Kingdom. Yes, this is the people's servant and ambassador at large for Empire Ark, Almighty Rastafari Kingdom. So yes, Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Marcia Stewart D. Arco, here to serve as the CEO, Chief Education Officer of the Empress of Zion, the non-profit organization that has been delivering the Rastafari technical assistance since 1982, even before the organization came into place. Why? Because our international Omega president, Sister Masani, put on the first ever international conference in Canada in 1982 and brought the elders, the ancient ones of the Nyahbinghi Foundation Order from Jamaica to Canada. And the next year, 1983, was the conference that everybody talk about, the international conference named RITA, the Rastafari International Theocracy Assembly. Yehovah's. And Nana Rita Marley did give funding for that conference to happen, out of which came many points, of which, one of the things that was supposed to happen is, a Rastafari station, which RFM supposed to fulfill that. Mota Baruka, you up, see it, because them don't know the role historically and them kind of thing there. So, you know what, go? Part 2. You're going to get some information and some innovative woman from the 1600 African woman. You understand? I deal with innovation in spirituality, in founding of churches, and no matter about the Bible and bonnet and all them things there. Sisters, please, you have to make sure you know what in it and the role of the women. See it in that book that our Holy Father, Emperor Haile Selassie, said, in it, you will find the truth for yourself and guidance for your future action. He also said, in it is his glory. So, you go find him glory if you burn it before you read it. And so many followers just keep on repeating. And them not open the book yet, Imagine, them want do away with the Bible. When from Genesis to Revelation, it has been revealed that it is the book of the Ethiopian. And Ethiopia, Greek, for sunburnt people. Who is that? I, the black people of the world. And the Ethiopians, you know what? Them come from light white to dark black. So, we're not going to really waste no more time because it's so much information. I'm not going to keep you too long, you overs, because the information just have to each one, teach one. And of course, I learning every single day because we are boss, blessed, outstanding spiritual scientists. And why we are spiritual scientists? Because we have evidence of our faith. So as boss, we are also the blessed, outstanding Selassie servant. Because him said, those that wish to be great must be willing to serve. And you have to serve first. You understand? So I am a servant. And I love serving. I really do. It makes me feel good, and needed. You overs. And when you never get wanted by not even your blood, your overs, yeah, you need something to make you feel wanted. But I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being part of my healing circle because, my husband, Nana Nancy, said, something, my beloved wife, Nana Ama Nancy, you've been glowing. And you know why? Let me share that secret. It's because I am definitely healing from within. I've been by myself now for months no children, no grandchildren, no great-grand, no husband, no nothing, all by myself. But I've been tapping in and thanking you for being with me. Now let's go straight into the information, because there's so much information. Make we start with the women in the Bible, and then I'm going to end your overs. You don't want to leave until you hear about who? Kimpa Vita, the mother of the African Revolution. Because guess what? Me can tell you, say, you see Kimpa Vita, yeah man, from 1704, she founded the Antonian movement in the Congo, all right? And, you know, she was a woman of noble birth and a leader of a traditional ritual society known as Marinda, before she emerged as a Christian prophetess. You see? She's a prophetess. Like many African prophetess, after her, she had ecstatic experiences, Jehovah's. And those are the experiences that we say are metaphysical, Jehovah's. It beyond our normal physical experiences. So before I even go to her, we are going to start with I don't want to start with her, right? Make me pause her for right now. Right, pause her, and then here we're going to go first. We are definitely going to go forward. The women of the Bible. People like Esther, Lydia, Mary. You know how much Mary there are in the Bible? Mary Magdalene, Mary Bethany, Mary, oh God, so much. So we're going to go through, you know, we're going to look into all of that. And let's go straight into not wasting your time or my time, because, you know, time is precious. So, yes, the women of the Bible, we're going to start off. All of these, you know, we won't go into today, but there's going to be a part 3. So you want to stay put. So before we can talk about women of the Bibles, let's talk about the different Bibles. Because when people are talking about them, are going to burn the Bible, and you must burn the Bible, and no Bible in a Rastafari, in a them new faculty of understanding. Me wonder is which Bible them are talk about. Do they know about the Aleppo Codex, which is the Jewish oldest manuscript, written in Tiberias around 930 CE? It is more than 1,000 years old. Or do they know about the Garima Gospels in Ethiopia, which is the world's oldest Christian version? According to the Ethiopian monks, the Gospels were written by Abba Garima, a Byzantine royal who arrived in the kingdom of Aksum in 494 AD. Carbon testing, because we say, you know, we are spiritual scientists, so we have scientific evidence for everything that we are dealing with. Carbon testing has proven that the Garima Gospels were, that the Garima Gospel is between 330 and 650 CE, right? That is predating the 1620 King James Version. So, we have not reached the King James Version. We have our original versions. Then there is the Septuagint. That is the first Greek translation of the Hebrew version, Jehovah's. And the Septuagint Bible arose in the 3rd century BC when the Hebrew Bible or Old Testament was translated into Greek, Jehovah's. So, we have to know these things. You know, this here is the Aleppo Codex, the oldest Jewish manuscript which was written in Tiberias, right? Over 1,000 years ago, before, you know, see, King James Version. Now this is the Garima Gospels, you understand? All in Ethiopia, in the kingdom of Aksum. You know, see, guarded, just as how the ark is guarded. You know, see. And then, you know, this is the Septuagint, you know, which, the Septuagint, you know, over 800 years later than the Ethiopian Garima Gospels, Jehovah's. So it just so happened that, guess what? African cosmology, that means it's the creation story, right? Now for the Rastafari, our Holy Father says that our creation story is actually in the Bible. And interestingly, when you know what Septuagint means, it is because it's 72 scholars that did the translation into Hebrew, did the Greek translation from Hebrew. Jehovah's, that's why it's called Septuagint. Now, isn't that interesting? Because 72 nations, November 2nd, 1930, you know, we'll lead up to the coronation, but before we lead up to the third coronation of November 2nd, we have two more before that. One, this very month, the beginning of years, you know, September 27th, when His Majesty got the first title of Rast, that gave the Rastafari movement its name. And Rastafari is the new name that him tell John was to write in Revelation 2:17 and Revelation 3:12. So I'm coming forward as the Christ, the anointed Savior. But the Jesus name, it not gonna work. Because it's Yeshua from the beginning. Jehovah's and Jesus, the priest them in the Catholic Church just mess up the name there. You know, see, because as the priest them what them do. So, before we can eat, you know, so now we know about different kinds of Bible, all right? So, I want to give thanks for my Ethiopian sister in Malay. Yes, John Kennedy family, Casey, keep, oh God, man, I love all of you. So, African at home and abroad, give thanks, Jehovah's. Now, before, we, you know, me talk about all this time. So, let's talk about time, right? Time. All kind of time, right? Look on that. All kind of time. Free time. You know, see it. You know, all kind of time. Look on the time. Time in time and all kind of time. But let's see, you know, what does CE stand for? It means common or current era. What does BCE stand for? Before the common or current era. BC stands for the English phrase before Christ. Now, one would think that AD means after the death of Christ, but it doesn't. AD, confusingly, is from the Latin phrase Anno Domini. It means in the year of the Lord. So that's the year that Yeshua, who has come to be known as Jesus, showed up on earth. So AD does not mean after death as many people suppose, okay? Yes, Garsha Blacks, blessings. Now, CE and BCE abbreviations have a shorter history than BC and AD, although they still date from at least the early 1700s. Anno Domini, as I said before, is Latin for in the year of the Lord, and it refers to the birth of the Christ. And it is the same as CE, which is also known as the Christian era, when the 4th century Christian scholars believe the Christ was born. So they designated as AD, you know, or CE, the Christian era or the current era that I and I living in. So now that we know about time, Jehovah's, we can look forward again and know we are talking about with these olden books from 330 to 650 CE, Jehovah's in Ethiopia, Jehovah's. So, moving right along. Yes, Now we're going to start with Queen Esther. Yes, Queen Esther and the Purim feast. Who is Queen Esther? The story of Esther takes place in the city of Susa, in the winter palace of the Persian king. Jehovah's, he had divorced his queen and chose the young Jewish woman named Esther as his new queen. She was actually an orphan who had been adopted and cared for by her cousin Mordecai, who was given a job as a palace official. Mordecai warned Esther not to tell anyone that she was a Jew, an Israelite, and Esther obeyed. The king's highest official was a man named Haman. He hated Jews. He hated the Israelites. And he tricked the king into giving permission to have all of the Jews killed. The Israelites, instead, guess what it happened at the end? Because, man proposes, but God disposes, and him neither dig the ditch for himself. Him should have do that and go read Psalm 7 where David said, instead of that happening, the rulers of the provinces, there's 127 provinces that the king was over, and the officers of the king helped Israel because the fear of Mordecai fell upon them. And that is a direct quote from Esther 9:4. Today is September 9, so we are dealing with the 9 business, right? Yes, man, and that it say in Esther 9. So, notice, Esther risked her own life to save the lives of her people. After the victory of the Israelites over their enemies, Mordecai and Esther wrote a letter telling all the Israelites to celebrate the feast of Purim, which, every year that the feast of Lot, to remember how the nation was saved. What is Purim? Purim is a joyous Israelite festival which commemorates the survival of the Israelites, who in the 5th century BCE were marked for death by the Persian rulers. So Purim is held on the 14th day of the Hebrew month of Adar, and it usually falls March or April and commemorates the day that Esther, the queen of Persia, saved the Israelite Jewish people from execution by Haman, who was the advisor to the Persian king. You can read it for yourself in Esther 9:17, right? But guess what? Even though Purim usually fall March or April, for Purim 2021, that is going to begin on Thursday, February 25th, which is the same date that the 12 tribes of Israel, the Orthodox Christian mansion of the Rastafari faith, was founded in the island of Jamaica by Dr. Vernon Carrington, also known as the Prophet Gadman. So the Feast of Purim will, imagine, end the following evening, because it starts one evening and end the following evening when the Sabbath starts, Friday, February 26, 2021. And say, Jama, we are the people from Jama Werelu that were taken by the Arabs to Mesopotamia, Iraq, and Great Britain bought us and sent us to Jamaica. That's why we are the Jama people, His Majesty said, blood Ethiopian. Now, during Purim, the proper greeting, people, because when the New Year come on the 11th, we are going to say, Melkam Adis Amet, right? The Amharic for, the Happy New Year. Well, the Hebrew phrase, Shag Samat, means happy holidays and can be used for any joyous holidays of the Israelites, right? Now, we talk about 5 life lessons from the book of Esther, right? And the 5 life lessons from Esther is actually adapted from the 3 lessons that you can find in Simple Lessons from the Bible, the blackspot.com. You're over, but me have to go deeper in that thing, so me I give you 5 life lessons, right? Okay. 1, from Esther 2:19 to 20, a silent witness. Esther, Mordecai, our cousin, will rear her, tell her, must make anybody know she's an Israelite or Jew. But guess what? Eventually she have to stand up for what she know and believe. So though for years Esther had hidden the fact that she was a Jew, to do this she probably had to eat, drink, and act according to the custom of the unbelievers around her. Esther had not yet shown her kindred or her people as Mordecai had charged her. So in Esther 2:20, I love that 2:20 there, because it remind me of February 20, when my daughter, Dr. Princess Rokhaya, Azizi Stewart was born February 20, and guess who also born February 20? The twin son that His Imperial Highness Ermiah Selassie, Haile Selassie, his twin sons are also born February 20. And on November 2nd, 1930, at the coronation of his grandfather and his grandmother, our Holy Mother Empress Menen was actually pregnant with, Ermiah Selassie, his father. Now, as we will see later in the book of Esther, she managed to keep her faith in God alive. Because we have to stand up for what we know and believe, because I and I will not bow. Now let's look at the lesson from Esther 4, 8 through 17. Mordecai's faith in God, the purpose in the lesson, that is, that we're dealing with, and compassion enough. So when Mordecai asked for Esther's help, he assured her that God was going to bring his people through the difficulties they were facing, which is what I want them to know right now. COVID-19 and institutionalized racism, yeah man, God gonna bring we through this, because we are the survivors, see it, through his compassion and the order way him say, see. If Esther had refused, then she would have received punishment along with the people who wanted to kill the Jews, the Israelites. But Mordecai also challenged Esther. Perhaps this was the reason the Lord had placed her in the position of being a favored queen. So she was sent there, you understand? So she could have saved the children of Israel. All right, let's look at a third lesson from Esther now. From Esther 4, 13 to 14 is Esther's courage and boldness. Because we have to be bold in this, right? It took courage and boldness for Esther to approach the king without being invited. She was literally risking her life. We too may have to risk all that is dear to us when we speak up for what is right, truth and right, but that is the order. But like Esther, I and I can be sure that the results of our efforts are in God's hand, even if it costs us our lives to do what is right. That's one of the many lessons that left to the Rastafari faith by the ancient ones. Who the ones me attack? The founders of this faith, who were abused and killed for their faith, as in the Coral Gardens Bad Friday. And ever since that, when Boboshanti said, whatever the jail can hold, the cemetery can hold. Kill them first and not shoot first and ask questions later. You're over. But the Rasta did, we trust God, see it. And nothing in our life happened by accident. So we have to honor those elders, that go through all those things to set up this Rastafari faith. And we don't want a new order. We want the said order where them go through all of that for, because it gives us faith, right? So know that you are in a place where you are for a time like this. And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom? Which kingdom? The Ark, of course, Almighty Rastafari kingdom, for a time such as this. That's why you come to even get this training right now. Here's the next lesson you're going to get now. Hang on, despite Haman the hangman. This is the lesson from Esther 5, 9 through 14. Haman, he had a great pride in his position and power, which is why he became angry at Mordecai's lack of respect, because when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, Mordecai did not stand up for him, nor move for him. So indignation came up into Mordecai and was angry, according to Esther 5:9, another 9 for this September 9. Consequently, Haman made plans with his wife, to have Mordecai hanged. This is the lesson, my family. Pride often gives us an inflated opinion of our own importance. When someone else does not accept our ideas, anger may cause us to say or do foolish and destructive things. Many of our angry thoughts are the result of a bruised ego, of shattered pride. Instead of turning angry thoughts into destructive attitudes, the solution is work on developing a new attitude. You hear? And the final lesson from Esther is from, of course, Esther 9, 29 through 30. Esther the queen and Mordecai the Jew wrote with all authority And they sent the letters unto the 127 provinces of the kingdom with the words of peace and truth. Perfect example of order and compassion of Zebulun. Zebulun get him order and compassion from the Lord himself. So I and I as Rastafari and as Christian, Orthodox Christian, Israelites, peace and truth is what I and I here to deal with. Now let's look at Lydia in the Bible. Lydia was a woman of Philippia, and this is a story of hope, courage, and reliance on God. You won't want to miss, all right? You can look it up for yourself, some of the stories on busyblessedwomen.com, right? Lydia actually is believed to be one of the first convert to be baptized, with her entire household. You see Lydia, all right? She was smart, strong, and she was a follower of the Jewish God. Lydia has nonetheless quietly conformed to the expectation of the wealthy Roman society into which she was born. Her father marries her off at age 15 to a much older man whom she dislikes. But despite an unpleasant wedding, and a marriage that doesn't improve with age, Lydia remains a dutiful and faithful wife. When her husband is killed years later, Lydia vows to remain single and return to her father's house in Thyatira with her 12-year-old daughter. There a new life begins to emerge as Lydia is trained in the family dye business. Lydia displays an aptitude for trade in the male-dominated world of Philippia, where she sets up shop at the mercy of a patriarchal society. It was there she met the Roman convert Paul. His name was Saul before him convert to Paul. You can read that story in Acts 16:14. Right? And a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple of the city of Thyatira, which worshiped God, heard Paul and the Christians, the apostles, whose heart the Lord opened, and she attended unto the things which were spoken of. After Paul and company were beaten and imprisoned, and their feet were fastened, Silas prayed and sang praises unto God. Earthquake loosened them and the front of the magistrate. As Paul revealed his Roman citizenship, they were released, and according to verse 40, and they went out of prison and entered into the house of Lydia. So like me, Lydia had a prison ministry also that has been said of her. You understand? So when ones did come out of prison, she opened up her house to them. You overs. Compassion, order. That's what we're learning. Now Mary, quite contrary, Yes, would you know, when the disciple is united, he will be filled with light. But if he is divided, he will be filled with darkness. That is what Jesus said to Mary Salome. But there are other Mary. A common Protestant tradition holds that there are 6 women named Mary in the New Testament. There's Mary, the mother of Jesus, who is Yeshua, according to his original name, became known by the Greek translation of Jesus. Then we have Mary Magdalene, who many believe was the wife of Jesus Christ, the Yeshua, the Christ. And you have Mary of Bethany. She was the one who did anoint him. Then you had Mary, who was the mother of James, the younger. And then you had Mary, who was the mother of John Mark. And you also had a Mary, of Rome, who according to Paul the Apostles, in his epistle to the Romans, he said that Mary is said to have treated Paul with special kindness. Compassion, we're talking about compassion for Zebulun, right? And that Mary of Rome labored much among the early Christian community in Rome. Specifically, you can read about her in Romans 16:6, right? Because Paul said of her, she labored, you know, yes. And him tell the people them, greet Mary, because she bestowed much labor on us. Now, Christ had a special relationship with women, you know. The Godhead himself tells Jeremiah to write that it is for the hurt of the daughter of his people that is hurt. And according to Jeremiah 8:21, God said, I am black, saith the Lord. So these are some of the relationship with God. And, you know, women. Now, these are the three Marys at the resurrection of Christ after the crucifixion. This is an Eastern Orthodox icon of the two Marys and Mary Shalom at the tomb of Jesus, you know, and this is an 18th century iterate this, right? You can find it in Wikipedia under Shalom, right? And you have Mary of Bethany, who together with her siblings, Lazarus and Martha, is described by John as living in the village of Bethany, near Jerusalem. She is often confused with Mary Magdalene, who is the disciple and possibly the wife of the Christ. Yes, my namesake Marcia Ball. No sad to Zion, we are rejoiced, you know, see it. Because we're blessed, we have J. Smith with us. Go on, Garsha Blacks, yes I. Now, in medieval tradition, Shalom, which is known as Mary Shalom, was counted as one of the three Marys who were daughters of Saint Anne. This would make her a sister or half-sister of Mary, who is the mother of Yeshua the Christ. She is named by Mark as being present at the crucifixion and as being one of the women who found Yeshua, Jesus Christ, the tomb empty. This Mary Shalom is often identified as the wife of Zebediah. You know who Zebediah is, right? How Christ did love him. And she's also described as the mother of James and John, who are the two first disciples that Christ did even call, 2 of the 12. And in Matthew 20:20-21, this Mary Shalom petitions the Christ to let her son sit with him in paradise, one on his right, the other on his left. And that is in the Gospel of Thomas, which is one of the last books of the Bible that didn't make it into the 66th book, you know, but it's in the Ethiopian Bible. And there is a reference to Jesus in the Gospel of Thomas that he's reclining on a couch and eating at a table that belonged to Mary Shalom. And Mary Shalom asked him, who are you, sir, that you have taken your place on my couch and eaten from my table? And Yeshua the Christ, Jesus, answers, I am he who is from the one. So you see, Christ was differentiating himself from the Godhead himself. And the thing that belongs to the Father have been given to me. And remember, when Christ did ask his disciples, when them tell him, say, some people say you're John the Baptist, others say you're Elijah, and say, but who do you say I am? And Peter, Simon from the tribe of Simeon, say, you're God Almighty. And Christ said to him, blessed is you, Peter, Simeon, because flesh and blood did not reveal it to you. I am in the Father, and the Father in me, you overs. But at that time, the Holy Spirit never given to man yet, right? So Mary Shalom replies, but I am your disciple. And Jesus answered, when the disciple is united, he and she will be filled with light. But if the disciple is divided, the disciple will be filled with darkness. But you see, he recognizes female disciples also. Alright? Now what did Mary Magdalene look like? You know, she's been pictured in different ways, right? And you know, a woman's hair is very important in them olden days and even now. It was considered outrageous for a woman past puberty to go about bareheaded without the hair hidden by a scarf. It was often a sign that the girl was reaching marriageable age, you know. So after she was married, only her husband or close family members would ever see her hair. It was a big deal, you know. So many images emphasize Mary Magdalene's long hair. That means she was going about uncovered. You understand? So Mary Magdalene long hair, which was visible, many modern researchers think that is what condemned her as a sinner, simply because she did not cover her hair. However, the first mention of her in the Bible, when she washed Jesus' feet and dried them with her hair, she was at the house of her father, Simon the Pharisees. So if we think of Mary as an historic figure, what would she have looked like, you know? So she would have been, you know, Jewish, Egyptian, Kemet, you know, certainly Middle Eastern looking, you know, dark. Lynn Pinckney thinks she was black, which connection explains the black virgins that they say found in the south of France, that the black virgin is after Mary Magdalene, you know. And so Mary must have had Nubian blood, because you know Christ's wool hair and burnt brass feet. And certainly the inherited Mary Magdalene would have had dark skin and dark brown eyes with hair that could have been any color. Alright? Now, Mary Magdalene, this is the connection to the Black Madonnas found in France. You see what them look like? Black Madonna. So there's only one, you know, so the statue, you can look it up for yourself, right? And guess what? Magdalene in Hebrew scripture means the tower or the daughter of Jerusalem. You overs. Alright. So, moving right along. Then now, we have other stories that talk of the dark goddess and the cosmic goddess, you know, and there, Da Vinci and others have used their symbols in their paintings. You overs. For example, Starbird believed that evidence suggests the marriage in Cana, where Christ turned water into wine, was actually Christ's own marriage to Mary Magdalene. This then repeats the story of a goddess and a god whose marriage and the God's resurrection, since she was the first to see him after Christ was risen. Because remember now, you know, the disciples went in and them leave, them never see him, but Mary stayed around. And because she stayed around, she was the first to see Christ after he was risen. Alright? Alright. So, moving right along now. One other evidence from Dr. Kujawa said, perhaps we should take notice of the goddess who is always edited out of history, but has managed to resurrect herself through the ages, hiding in plain view, as in the dark Black Madonna, with the uninitiated believing her to be the Virgin Mary, while the ones who know the ancient truth recognize her as a cosmic goddess in her most recent incarnation, Mary Magdalene. Alright? Now that we've gone through women of the Bible, here what we are going to end with now. We are going to end with an African queen who in a 1700 founded a new movement. Okay? Here we go now. New movement founded in Africa by none other than Kimpavita, the mother of the African Revolution in the Congo. I tell you, get your training. At the turn of the 18th century, the Congo Kingdom is past its glory days in fighting, opens the door for Portuguese domination. It is the time of Kimpavita. The spiritual healer and medium is taken seriously ill. Her recovery is clouded in mystery. She will later talk of an ascension to heaven. In a vision, she recounts a Catholic saint points her to the divine family of Christianity. Mary, Joseph, and Yeshua. They're a black family from Mbanza in the Congo, the former capital now in ruins. Kimpa Vita speaks out against Portuguese occupation. She saw Christ as black and calls for the re-establishment of the Congo Empire. Soon a growing number of disciples filled the former capital with new life. But the prophet is more human than some will accept. Kimpa conceives a child out of a love affair with a companion and goes into hiding. She's arrested and charged with heresy. In 1706, Kimpa Vita is burnt alive on a funeral pyre. But that is not the end of her story. Even today, some African churches use her example to preach an African way. And she saw Christ as black and independence from European dominance. So no, when we go into the Bible, we see Ethiopia, black burnt-skinned people looking like I and I, because Kimpa was taken to Zion and saw Christ and Mary as black. Blessed love, my family. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being, interested in knowing the truth and the evidence of our Christian faith, which goes back to ancient Egypt. Jehovah's Kemet, and me don't have my Ankh, and the Ethiopian Orthodox faith, Christian faith, and without a doubt, finally, the Moambasa, conquering Lion of Judah. So the thing said, I and I clear about what our history is. When I know why Jesus, him not have woolly hair, him not have sunburned skin. So we not going to deal with the hypocrisy. But what we are going to deal with is what our prophet, Marcus Messiah Garvey said. We're going to worship the God of Ethiopia. Blessed love family. Have a blessed evening. Love you. Thank you for the time. I'll bless.